Gamilith an Amrâl, A Letter for a Lover, by Midnight Blue. Chapter 2. A Gentle Hobbit with Many Skills. A common misunderstanding between the kin of men that has never been anywhere close to the Shire is that hobbits are useless, lazy creatures. This misunderstanding, born from foolish assumptions and a lack of knowledge about a foreign culture, used to make Bilbo's blood boil. He's a very fine gentle hobbit with many skills, thank you very much. But after a couple short-lived adventures of his own during his youngling days, he finally understood the issue. Men survived. Hobbits lived. From the standpoint of others, hobbits might appear like lazy creatures that only think about their next meal, but hobbits were gifts to the Green Lady herself, Yavanna. They were raised with the song of the wild, the dirt between their feet, and a song stuck on their ribcage. They were not made for war and survival like the kin of men, but they were made to plant, to sing with the birds, to dance in the moonlight, to feast together, and to dance around bonfires. Men were made of ashes, wrath, and blood. Hobbits were made of blooming flowers, the scent of spring, and the song of life. Different people, different cultures. So, backtracking to the first point, hobbits are not in fact useless, or at least not the majority of them. Bilbo Baggins will be the first creature to defend his Shire and its people, but he will also be the first to tell you that you can easily separate his neighbors into three categories: the fools, the gentle hearts, and the snakes. As the heir of Bag End, the finest place the Shire has ever seen, Bilbo was raised to perfect the fine arts: drawing, calligraphy, prose, festivities, dances, and cooking. The languages: Common Tongue, Elvish, and a bit of Khazul that he learned here and there with traveling dwarves, and, of course, proper etiquette. Bilbo is not only a mere hobbit, he's a gentle hobbit, a fine hobbit if he cares to say so. On a good day, Bilbo liked to think that he was one of the gentle hearts of the Shire, but the unfinished letter in front of him is begging to differ. It took Bilbo an hour to shake himself, get up, and beg his foolish heart to stop wandering his thoughts into dangerous territories. He didn't even know the blacksmith. Hell, he didn't even know how the blacksmith looked like, if he was married. Bilbo is not even sure why the letter made him so smitten. Was it because Mr. Thorne's handwriting was so different than his? So sharp, the style so unfamiliar, the way of writing so direct and to the point? Bilbo could almost bet a good coin that Mr. Thorne had sharp eyes. "Ah, my fair lady, hopefully this Mr. Oakenshield doesn't have dark hair." Bilbo did have a thing for dark-haired men. Bilbo stops abruptly, his face burning. Why in Valar's name am I thinking about this poor stranger's hair color? Bilbo Baggins and his red, burning cheeks went to the study, looking for paper, ink, and his mail wooden box. Murmuring to himself, only the lazy afternoon rain was there to witness the heir of Bag End scolding himself. Don't be a fool, Bilbo Baggins. Your heart has more than enough already. But, like a tale as old as time itself, the heart wants what it wants. And Bilbo Baggins was not the exception to the rule. He was a slave of his heart's desires. It took more than an hour and a half and a quick mid-afternoon snack for Bilbo to fall into temptation. He gathered his supplies and all the little items that were to be fixed by the blacksmith, got his mailing wooden box, and sat in his study to write a reply. Only a few minutes later, Bilbo ripped the top bottom of his letter with his cheeks once again burning. Dear Thorin. Dear? First name basis? What was Bilbo, a common street harlot? Maybe if he was still a young, bright-eyed lad full of dreams and hormones, he would be as bold as this. But there was no way such improprieties and oh-so-forward shameless flirting would be seen in a good light at his big age. So, Bilbo breathes in, breathes out, dips his feather into his deep green ink, and tries again. Mr. Oakenshield, I hope this letter will also find you well. A few days before Bilbo Baggins' second letter would arrive at Thorin's doorstep, the forest behind Thorin's cabin was witnessing a reunion of an old great company, and a previous royal guard was analyzing an exiled prince's suspicious behavior. Dwalin was not a scholar at all, but his experience as a guard made him much more observant to details than other people, and it made him work on his logic and deduction. That being said, even the biggest of fools could see that something had happened to Thorin. Perhaps even someone. The outdoors table was full. Oin, Fili, Kili, Thorin, and Bombur at one side, and Dwalin and Ori in the other. There was song and poorly made dances of the two young princes, stories, and food. If Dwalin ignored the abandoned mirror thrown in the ground next to the forest, Thorin's lack of singing, and if he didn't look at Thorin's eyes, always so full of past regrets, he could almost believe that they were back at how everything was before the desolation. Sometimes Dwalin wished he was a weaker-minded man, someone that could blind themselves, someone that could stay inside a cave, too afraid of the moving shadows to leave. Uncle, I'm stuffed. This was amazing, Kili says it while stretching into Thorin, much like a cat. Any other lad that tried such a thing would probably get strangled, but Fili and Kili, no matter their age, would always be Thorin's babies. Get off me, Thorin grumbles, pretending to be annoyed. The whole table plays along, pretending not to see him scratch Kili's hair, just like he had been doing since Kili was born.
What was this thing again?
Bombur asks, speaking with his mouth wide open. Dwalin can't help but throw his piece of bread at Bombur while grimacing. Bombur grabs his flying piece of bread with the easiness of a true warrior. It's pepper jam, Thorin says. And Dwalin zeroes in on him, while the whole table begins to chat about whether they had ever heard of pepper jam before or not. Thorin's nonchalant tone, his wondering eyes not making eye contact with anyone at their table, the light blush on his ears. Dwalin starts to cough, choking on his ale. Thorin Oakenshield, son of Thrain II, the grandson of King Thror, heir of Erebor, the exiled prince, under the mountain, is smitten?